Well, good evening, everyone. This is Keith with Positively Osceola, and thank you for being here for another episode of our evening coffee club discussion. So, as I always say, this is not a prop. This is real. I need that coffee at times, and so we scheduled a show to fit. See that? Well done. So, a special night tonight for darn sure, and that's because we have Rhiannon Arnold, who is candidate for the 9th Judicial Circuit Group 1. How are you tonight?
I'm great. Keith, how are you?
I'm doing great. It was, like I said earlier, it was a little challenging getting home for some reason. It seemed like all kinds of cars in the way, but, hey, got home. God did it right, got it safe, so it's all good. So we were talking a little bit earlier today, and what really hit me was that so often when so many of us go out to vote, and I actually love voting. I'm loving the fact that my son's going to get to vote this time. So I think so many people are unsure of the judicial side. So they'll get, hopefully people get versed in educating themselves on all the other areas of the voting cycles. But all too often, I think people are not fully heads up on the judicial choices. And so then they think they make unfortunate choices, which are maybe they just skip by them, or they're just running through, not really educated. And so I want to get to that tonight. But I want to first just introduce you like we did, and just ask you to tell us, who you are, a little bit about you. And I think that's a great way for people to get to know individuals who are running for office. And it is very, like I said, it's very different in the judicial side. And so I thought we really wanted to give people a chance to get to know you tonight. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. Thanks so much, Keith. So like you said, my name is Rhiannon Arnold. I'm a candidate for Circuit Court Judge Group 1 in the 9th Judicial Circuit. The 9th Judicial Circuit is made up of Orange and Osceola counties. It's a 2-county race. And I've lived in Orange County since 2004. I'm originally from Florida, born and raised, originally from the Panhandle, the Pensacola area. I went to undergraduate school in Mobile, Alabama, and then relocated directly after that back to Florida, went to law school at FSU in Tallahassee, completed law school there, and did my internship there in Tallahassee and right outside of Tallahassee in Monticello, a really small town. And then immediately upon graduating law school, moved to Orlando to study for the bar and took a job with Mr. Wesley at the 9th Judicial Circuit Public Defender's Office. That's where I started my career as a barred lawyer. And I spent some time originally in Orlando in his office, and then I moved to the Kissimmee office and practiced in front of Judge Paladna in the Osceola County Courthouse for about 9 months. Spent some time in the juvenile courthouse in Orlando down off Michigan. And so I practiced at all the 9th Judicial Circuit courthouses. Then I went back downtown to the main courthouse. It was in a felony division for a while before I left in 2006 and started my own firm, the Arnold Law Group. And that's where I've been since then, before deciding to run. And I have been an official candidate for Circuit Court Judge Group 1 since January 8th of 2019. So that's sort of my path. I've held the same job. I've only really ever had 2 legal jobs in my career. So as an assistant public defender, and then started my own firm and have been a trial lawyer since then.
So I think that probably really fits the occupation or the position you're going for, somebody who's going to be in a position like that for a while. I'm kind of like that too. My wife and I are kind of lifers on situations, but I think that what you gain from that is you become steeped in those areas that you're working in. So what hit me when you were speaking was, consistently was the word experience. So how does that play into what you're going to be doing? So, I mean, you kind of went through that a little bit just speaking, but so experience for a judge, I don't know what else could be more important. So how does that affect how you feel, how you're going to. We talked a little bit earlier today about that. There are so many different areas that you could be in if you're elected. So experience has got to be up there in the most important traits you have.
Yeah, it really is. So what occurs when you become elected as a circuit court judge is we have lots of different divisions that you could go to. And so you don't know when you get elected, no judge knows where they're going to go. The chief judge, Judge Myers is our chief judge right now. And so Judge Myers will select where you're going to be assigned to. And coming in, you don't know if you're going to be assigned to Orange or Osceola County. And so Judge Myers will make that decision, and you don't know what practice area you're going to be assigned to or what division you'll be over. And so we have lots of different divisions that you could be over. And why I think it's so important between myself and my opponent, and where my experience really shines, is that, and why my experience is so important, is because my opponent doesn't have any jury trial experience, and you have a 50-50 shot of all of the different divisions that you could be put in, that you might have to preside over jury trials, whether that's in criminal court, felony criminal division, or whether that's in a civil division with jury trials. And it's really disheartening and kind of scary to think about someone presiding over jury trials that doesn't have any jury trial experience.
Right.
That's never conducted a jury trial, doesn't know, how to do it. And then you expect them to get on the job, put them in a position where they need on the job training, where they're going to be presiding over that kind of thing. That's why I think the experience of having over 50 jury trials that I have personally conducted by myself from start to finish, that doesn't include all the ones that I've helped do as second chair or helped other attorneys with that I wasn't lead counsel on. I've had an opportunity to do over 50 just by myself. And so I think that's something that the voters need to know, is that I'm not going to need on the job training. So I've been able to watch not only the ones that I've done and actively participated in, but then all the other jury trials that I've literally watched and seen judges preside over. And so I've seen what works and what doesn't work, and I'm not going to need on the job training for that. And I think that's really important. So, my experience, I think, speaks for itself when you talk about picking a judge who is going to be ready to get in and get to work on day one.
I think we kind of expect that. I know I'll just speak for myself. I know I kind of expect that in any candidate that I particularly vote for, not just the judicial. I look for somebody who's ready to hit the ground running. That their experience has led them to a place that it's appropriate that they're running for that office. That's like maybe the first thing. That's the first thing I usually look for. But what is important to me, and maybe this will lead you into an area you can talk with us about, which is passion. I really find when somebody's passionate about something, that they get up in the morning and they don't dread heading into work. Every single day they've got, that passion drives us. My wife and I have a lot of passion for what we do, and I think that gets us up in the morning and drives us. It helps us educate or be a part of our son's education. So share with us, if you would. I know it's kind of a wide open scenario, but share with us your passion. What got you to what you're doing now?
Well, my start in my legal career and what made me want to become a lawyer was really my first interaction with the law. I'm a survivor of child abuse. And so my first interaction with the courtroom was a judge that was very kind to me and made me feel very comfortable in a courtroom when I had to testify as a witness in a hearing. Luckily it didn't end up going to trial, so I didn't have to testify in a trial, but I had to testify in a sentencing hearing. The judge wanted to hear from me, and he made me very, very comfortable in his courtroom. And so that was really my first experience in something that was already scary and was already tragic. He made it I don't want to say it was a fun experience, because it certainly wasn't fun, but looking back on it now, 30 years later, it really was, there were some memorable and good experiences in it, if that makes sense. And so that judge gave me a positive experience out of something that was very, very negative. And so that kind of started my career. I was intrigued by what the attorneys did in the courtroom, and that gave me a passion for argumentation and debate, if you will, arguing both sides of something. And so I kind of took that up. I was involved in programs through my schooling that allowed me to be involved in extracurricular activities. I was part of the debate team all through middle school and high school. And then in college, that's what my degree is in. I have a bachelor's of science in communication with an emphasis in argumentation and debate. My grandma says that I've always been a very good arguer. And so I know lots of people have never even heard that there's actually a degree in argumentation and debate, but there is. And so that led me to law school. I stayed in contact with that judge. In fact, I'm still in contact with him to this day. He's now retired. And so that led me to law school. I was the first person in my family to ever have a postgraduate degree, and just sort of led myself there, figured out the way. And all through law school, I knew that criminal law was what I was interested in. I never had any interest in, I knew that's what I was going to practice, was criminal law. That's where I found, what I was interested in and my passion. And then once I became a public defender, at first I was a certified legal intern in law school. So that's something that the Florida Supreme Court, you get nominated for in law school, and then they determine whether or not you have kind of the chops of what it takes and you meet their criteria. And then the Florida Supreme Court will allow you, and they will qualify you as a certified legal intern. And so what that allows you to do is actually practice in court. It's kind of like an apprenticeship, for lack of a better term. And it allows you to practice up underneath barred attorneys while you're still a law student. And even before you take the bar exam. And so I was a certified legal intern, and I got to actually practice and do trials in Monticello with the assistant public defender there while I was still a law school student. And the first time that I was able to help a client in court and argue in front of a judge, I knew that that was what I was meant to do. I knew that that's what God created me to do. And I followed that passion and became a public defender. And I knew that I was meant to give a voice to people who couldn't find their own voice.
Right.
And that's what I've done for the last 15 years of my career. I did it for quite a long time as a criminal defense attorney on the state and federal level. And then after I met my husband in court, interestingly enough, he's an attorney as well. Let me preface that. And then we got married. When we got pregnant with our first daughter, he convinced me to come over to civil. He had always practiced civil. And so I became a trial attorney in the civil realm and started helping him with his trial cases. And I learned, there he is. There's my lovely husband, my two lovely daughters, Madeline and Mason. And then that's our four-legged son, Martin, that our daughter, Madeline, is holding on to make sure he doesn't run out of the picture. And so I learned that civil had an avenue for me to use my voice to help people that didn't have a voice in that area of law as well. And I found a passion there as well. And so I have learned that I'm really good as a trial lawyer. That's what I was made to do. And I feel like I've sort of reached the pinnacle of that. I've been able to do everything other than a death penalty case that I wanted to do, that I could do in criminal, and I've done a lot of trials that I wanted to do in civil. And so I was ready to be able to reach a larger area of my community and help them. And that's when I made the decision to run for circuit court judge, because I felt like I could help our community and reach a broader group of our community by doing that.
It's awesome.
So that's what got me here. I felt like the law had given me so much. It's given me a career. It gave me my husband and my children. And I felt like it was time to give back to the law and our community through it, and hopefully give to the younger generation, make the law, the practice of law, a little bit better, and in turn help our community and move it forward.
So how much more, and as I'm reaching for something, how much more complex these days has the legal part of our world and our community? I'm assuming it's humongously more complex, thus the need for experience.
Oh, wow. So much more. You have to factor in the fact that now the practice of law takes in technology. We have so many other areas of the practice of law. I mean, it used to be that the practice of law was really just criminal and civil encompassed family law, and the areas of family law that were encompassed within that. So probate, dependency, and those kinds of things. And now family law has become its own unique area of law. And there's so many, now you have complex business litigation, and we have a whole nother section of our jurisdiction that encompasses complex business court. We have a whole area of that. We have a division that is the complex business court. And so, and now you have state court and you have federal court. You have, laws that are being made all the time, and in every legislative session, there's new laws that are being made that are put on the books. And you have to, as a lawyer, you're having to keep up with those, and you're having to stay on top of those. And, now with COVID happening, as a practicing lawyer, we're having administrative orders that are coming down what seems like almost daily from the Supreme Court as to our rules and what we're having to follow as far as courtroom procedure as well. And so, the practice of law is a daily practice. It truly is. I mean, daily you are learning new rules, and you're having to stay up with what's going on every day. Every day things change. I learn something new every day as it relates to being a lawyer.
Guess that's why they call it practicing law then.
It's never mastering law. It's always still just practicing.
Yeah, understood. So I know we're getting close to 20 minutes, and that doesn't really matter, but so we'll just keep talking. So what would you say? So if you run into somebody, and I know this is not the elevator speech moment, but when you run into somebody right now that is probably in the area that would have the choice to vote for you or not, so what do you say to that person? Why? I mean, I know we talked about it before, but what would you say to the voters right now in a real succinct manner, that would petition them to vote for you?
Keith, I am the right candidate with the right amount of experience that is ready to jump into this seat and hit the ground running. I'm a utility player. I am ready to help the community get back on its feet when the court is ready to start steamrolling ahead, which is exactly what's going to be happening when the courts reopen. We need a candidate that is ready. We need a candidate that has the experience that can, like I said, hit the ground running and get moving from day one. We need a candidate that's real. We need a candidate that is true and accurate about who she is and the experience that she has. I am ready whether Judge Myers puts me in Orange or Osceola. I am of the people. I can fit in any of those places. I mean, being from the Panhandle, I love Osceola County. It reminds me of home. And anywhere that I am placed, I'm going to excel. That's just who I am. That's how I've been raised. That's just who I am and what I'm ready to do. And I have the experience to do it. And that's what our community needs. They need a judge that is ready to fill in a spot from a retiring judge. That's the seat that, I'm looking to fill, as a spot where a judge is retiring, and I'm ready to do that. And I have the experience to do it. No matter where I get placed, I'll be ready to go. And I'm a team player. I'm ready to make the community better for all of us, for my children, for those two littles right there. I have a vested interest in making this better for all of us. And that's exactly what I intend to do.
Well, that's awesome. I love that you call them the two littles. Mine's no longer little, but I remember it well. It's
Yes.
almost little. So sometimes I look at them, I still see a kid that big. So it's kind of cool how God makes that work. Well, I want to thank you. I have always thought that, like I said earlier, it's challenging for people to get a grasp on the judicial selections when you're voting. It comes down to research. And for me, it's always been simple. It's really about experience. It's about integrity, and it's about somebody's passion. So I have appreciated that you've shared all those with me tonight, and anybody who was able to join us. Again, I'll give you a quick shot of your of the fam. Bam.
There they are.
Very cool. So I believe I remember your website. That would be Arnold and then the number 4 judge.com. So I'll challenge people, if you're hearing this either live or later on, go ahead and look up Rhiannon Arnold, and I'll make sure I say it right. Candidate for the 9th Judicial Circuit Group 1, which is Orange and Osceola County. And so again, go to arnold4judge.com and learn some more about Rhiannon, and so anything you want to close with?
I just appreciate Positively Osceola having me and inviting me out, Keith. I appreciate you and all the work that you put in getting me mic'd up. And I appreciate Osceola being so hospitable and welcoming me with open arms. That's our website. That's also our Facebook handle. If people have questions, they can certainly email me, reach out to me on Facebook. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I welcome questions. I want people to get to know me so they can make the right decision about selecting a judge who has the right amount of experience and who's going to be fair and honest to the citizens of Orange and Osceola County. I want to make sure that they know who they are picking when they select a judge, and that they're making sure they get a judge with the experience that they deserve, because that's what we all deserve as voters and as community members.
Well said. Well said. Well, great to speak to you, and thank you again. I know you're super busy. Everything is just, with COVID-19, we're like hyped ultra busy now for those busy people that are naturally busy. So thank you so much. Again, with Rhiannon Arnold, the candidate for the 9th Judicial Circuit Group 1. Thanks for spending so much time with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Keith. Have a great evening. Appreciate it.
Again, so this is Keith with Positively Osceola, along with Rhiannon Arnold. Once again, I'll give you the whole spiel. The candidate for the 9th Judicial Circuit Group 1. Together, making a positive difference in Osceola County. Have a great night.
Thanks so much.